Marking the text or some form of note-taking is essential for learning well from a text. Mindful coding is a powerful way to take notes. It makes the content yours and rewards you with an exhilarating learning experience. Here are some examples of pages showing mindful coding. Mindful coding involves the deliberate pursuit of understanding. Learn how to set up for and do mindful reading, and where to record your thinking as you read. Prepare for an in-depth reading experience. Preview for structure. Preview for content. Build your anticipation. Use any other before strategies to prepare to read. Then, set your purpose or purposes for reading. Number your purposes. This will come in handy. Lastly, create codes for marking the text. Base these on what you know about the text from your preview and what kinds of thinking will help you attain your purposes. Make a sheet to remind you of your codes and what they mean. Here is an example coding sheet for this text. Now start to read being fully alert. Pause at logical places along the way to capture the meaning of what you just read. Decide if you want to mark it and how. Have a reason for every mark you make. Notice the different kinds of thinking and codes this reader uses. These might not be the codes you would use. After all, you have a different text, different expectations from your professor, and different purposes for reading. This is just an example. Here are 3 levels for reading an academic text. Read the lines, read between the lines, read beyond the lines. Read the lines means to capture the surface level meaning. You need to know what the author is basically saying before you can go into higher levels of thinking. Here are several ways to gain the basic messages. Synthesize a segment in your own words. Create a telegram, a summary phrase of what you just read, or create a download pattern with details as well as main points. When you see something that addresses your purposes for reading, put the purpose number in the margin and do something to designate that this number represents a purpose. Mark the structure of the text so you can see how everything fits together, as if outlining. Mark the words that signal the structure. Phrases like, in addition, another reason is, furthermore, secondly. Notice the box around these signal words. Now a quick word about highlighting and underlining. Only underline or highlight after you have actually read that part of the text. Then go back and highlight as little as possible, just enough to trigger your memory of the important concepts. Do not let highlighting become an exercise for your wrist. Some say only underline a complete sentence if the language is remarkable. Otherwise, stick with a few trigger words or phrases. Highlight less than 10% of the text. Mark unknown terms you feel you need to learn. Study the context right then and make your best guess of what it might mean. Write your guess in the margin with a question mark to indicate that it is a guess. If you look it up, write the essence of the definition and a D for dictionary definition. Circle information you need to remember, such as dates, proper nouns, equations, concepts. Read between the lines means to clarify unstated meaning. Infer, and then ask your own questions about anything that makes you curious, and ask questions you think your professor will ask. Mark trouble spots and try to resolve them, now or later. Constantly work to identify what's most important. You might feel a strong prediction about what is coming. Code it and put a word or phrase to represent the prediction. Read beyond the lines. That is, connect the text to ideas and information outside the text, such as, to your life experience, text to self, to your knowledge of the world, text to world, to a text you have already read, viewed, or heard. This can be a printed text, a visual text like a movie, or an audio recording, text to text. To the discipline, such as authors, ideas, arguments, themes, or information in that discipline, text to discipline. To go even further, write not only your codes, but also your thinking in the margins or elsewhere. Here are some suggestions. Note strong reactions you want to think about. Write your opinions and comments about the ideas in the text. Argue with the author. Problem solve and figure things out for yourself. Use the text as a springboard to your own creative thinking. Give insights. Give ideas for applying the information. Talk to the author with questions and comments. Bring anything else that will make the text meaningful and memorable for you. This kind of close reading takes humility. Be skeptical of your understanding and hesitant to think you have everything figured out. It takes time, so code and mark important texts you want to understand, not just use to pass a test. Now let's look at where to write your mindful codes and markings. You can mark in the margins, mark on sticky notes. This is effective for borrowed texts or texts you don't plan to keep. Sticky notes can be placed in the text and later moved to a notebook. Be sure to identify text and page number. A good idea is to divide the page into quarters and standardize a label for each quarter of a page. Use your laptop to take notes. Some online texts have the capability of electronic note-taking, but you can use software such as Microsoft OneNote for any text. You can also read a hard copy and take notes on an electronic device. This is an effective way to enhance your thinking about something especially important to you, or to explore ideas for a paper about the text because you have no space limits. You can also write notes using margin glossing. Fold a sheet of paper lengthwise and place it next to a column of text. Label the title, page, and column, and write on it as if the text had very wide margins. Photocopy each page or column of a short text. This is an example of a response to a short chapter of a religious text. Miniature page. Draw a facsimile of the text in the center of a sheet of paper and label it. Then make notes and draw an arrow to the place on the page where the thought was inspired. There are many ways to record your thinking as you read. The important thing is to record it. The act of integrating the author's words with your own thinking not only enhances your understanding of the text, it becomes yours. Mindful coding during a close reading is rewarding not only because of your depth of learning, but because of the fun of seeing your mind at work. Mindful coding can make you a prepared, demanding, and transformed learner. Take your own thoughts about the text seriously. Many readers look to some expert to tell them what a text means because they have no confidence in their own ability to figure it out for themselves. The views of experts are useful and necessary, but they are no substitute for thinking for yourself and gaining a respect for your own responses. Do not passively take notes. Don't think that learning is to open up the text, swallow some facts, spit them out, and forget about them. This is not learning at all. The truth is that this type of non-learning is not effective, interesting, or enjoyable. Instead, push it. Examine all things intensely and relentlessly. Probe and search. Do not leave it. Do not course over it as if it were understood. Be fierce to know, not fierce to seem to know. Mindful coding will push you into deep inquiry and learning, and into the joys of learning from reading.